Around T14 or 15, if you don't make a very specific pivot, this build doesn't just slowly fall off. It literally just falls off a cliff. I'll show you exactly what that switch is and how to make it without killing the fun. Now, let's talk about why this build feels so insane to play. Listen, typically I don't even play builds that are super fast. I really just play builds that are tanky. I mean, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that the builds that I like to make and play are defense oriented. So switching to something like Venom Gyre, let alone Daughter of Oshabi during this event was a huge change for me. I mean, I felt it instantly when I was leveling with Cobra Lash, and then when I jumped right into Venom Gyre and seeing tons of projectiles all over the screen, I started to kind of let loose and just have fun with everything. I mean, I can vividly remember the first time I had my movement speed going above like 120% with the shrine buff, that I was just frantically clicking around trying to click on something, anything, because I was not used to going that fast. I'm like Unk status at this point. I can't handle that much speed. I remember calling my wife over and going, hey, look at the screen for a second. Look how much is happening. Effects were flying, stuff was exploding off screen, and she just looks at it and goes, I have no idea what I'm looking at. It just looked like things are happening everywhere. And that's exactly what I wanted. Not precision or clarity, just pure controlled chaos. That moment right there is when I knew this build was special, because it completely embraced what I think the Phrecia event is trying to be, which is pure chaotic fun. Now, one thing that's important to me with any build in Path of Exile or Path of Exile 2 is how much money do I need to farm or spend in order to get this build online. And luckily for you guys, this build does not require anything crazy. It's very budget friendly, and you can get into this build for around 5 Divine if you want to just blast through T16s, but of course with more investment you are going to get more out of the build. What you're seeing on screen is literally just under 5 Divine investment. Let that sink in. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, how do I actually play this for the next 2 weeks? That's exactly what I want to get into. I could break down literally every single piece of gear I'm using, and honestly, I would love to do that and make this like an hour-long video, but I'm not going to do that to you. I want to keep this fast, I want to keep it fun, and I want you to actually want to try this yourself. So instead, I just want to show you a few things that surprised me when I started this. The first one is Poison Venom Gyre. It turns out you actually want a really high physical damage claw early, which completely caught me off guard. But once I swapped to one, the damage really just increased. Between Venom Gyre's conversion and the mastery, everything kind of ends up scaling chaos anyway, and that's why Poison feels so strong early without much effort. The rest of it is simple: attack speed, movement speed, and keep it as reckless as you possibly can. So you might be wondering, why not just start with the hit-based version then and just skip Poison entirely? Well, for me it came down to Daughter of Oshabi. That Ascendancy node that applies Grasping Vines on hit actually does way more work early than I expected. You're hitting constantly, so enemies are almost always slowed, and that Poison chance effect really makes it feel better early on. Watching everything get dragged down while you're flying across the screen just feels right to me. It gives you control without slowing you down, and it makes early progression just way more forgiving. That's why I didn't skip Poison. It lets you enjoy the process instead of just rushing to the end. But once that early progression is over, once you hit that 15 or 16 wall, the build asks you a very simple question: can you kill a boss immediately or not? Sure, Poison Clear is fine, that's not really the problem. The problem is Phrecia doesn't give you time to ramp. Phrecia rewards chaos and quick killing. I tried to brute force it for a while, and I tried to make Poison scale even deeper. It just doesn't. So instead of fighting the event, I followed the pivot, and this is where I need to shout out Kankar. His hit-based Venom Gyre framework didn't just improve the build for me, it literally unlocked the rest of the event. I'll link it below so you can follow it directly, but the short version is this: you drop Poison and you go hit based, and the build instantly snaps back into place. Same chaos, same speed, but now you can actually kill a boss. So once you grab the Ascendancy that strips away enemy resistances on top of that, everything literally just collapses. That's the moment where the build stops feeling fun and starts feeling like borderline unfair. It's lightning based, so getting enemy resistances to 0 is absolutely massive, aggressive, and you can even layer penetration on top of that if you want to push it even further. This is where the build feels amazing. Now, I do want to be fair here. Defenses on this build are not what I normally play. You guys know me. I like tanky, I like builds that block, I like knowing I'm not going to randomly explode. This build doesn't do just that. You're relying on high evasion, high spell suppression, and insane movement speed. So half of your defense is just not being where the hit lands. If you're a zoomer, this is gonna feel completely natural. But if you're like me and you expect to stand still, sometimes you're gonna feel that trade-off. And I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm getting older, so it's harder, as I said, to play this kind of game. So no, this isn't a build with ultimate defenses, but if you have 2 weeks left in the league, be honest. You want the Tommy gun. You want pure chaos and absurd speed, and a build that just feels completely out of control in the best way possible. And I genuinely just want to get back to blasting maps with it.